is the Next Level Loan Officers podcast. To learn more about Next Level Loan Officers, go to becomnl.com.
Well, welcome back to another podcast here at Next Level Loan Officers. My name is Kellen Vaughn, one of the coaches and founders of Next Level. Honored to be with you today. And joining me in the Next Level studio, fellow coach and co-founder, Sean Zalmanoff. Sean, welcome, my friend.
Thank you, Kellen. It is a fine day to get to see you and be on yet another podcast, the number one podcast actually for loan officers by loan officers in these great lands. And we have a special guest today here too, don't we?
We do. This is a member that was a part of our group and then took a little break and they came back. And so, man, we're honored to have her in the studio. Sean, give us a little introduction to who we're going to be chatting with today.
So she comes from the great state of California. She's no longer in that state of California. She is now hails from Middle America, from Nebraska. Alba, how are you today?
I'm good, doing so well, thank you.
So you have a lot to share.
That
Alba.
was the most anticlimactic entrance I think you could have done, Sean. Really drug that out. So,
hey, man, I'm sorry. You know, in Nebraska, there wasn't a lot to know. We're building up to this greatness because Alba's moved herself. But she's working with an amazing team. She's still doing a bunch of business in California. She's growing this business in Nebraska. So the amount of value that she has to provide for our listeners and watchers today is so immense that I didn't want to drain everyone with that introduction.
Well, mission accomplished there, Sean. So Alba, welcome. So we know Alba because she joined us in San Diego. Gosh, this was in 2020.
Yeah, right before the world changed.
We feel like we started COVID in San Diego at that event. That was like right before the world changed. And then, you know, has been a part of our group and so, man, welcome, first and foremost. And so we were just talking off the air and I said, you know, are you still in California? No, I moved to Nebraska. So from Southern California to Nebraska. So give us a little background on this.
Yeah. So I wanted to be in a place that was open. And I had done some research and did a little bit of traveling with my significant other and stumbled upon Omaha, Nebraska. I have a couple friends here that have a decent sized portfolio in real estate and that are also in the business. So I was like, well, what's happening there? What's the buzz? So we had an opportunity. We almost moved to Colorado and then just decided to keep driving and ended up in Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah. Purchased our home in July. So here.
The terrain is a little different in Nebraska than it is in Colorado. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So it was just, I mean, I can't even imagine what you all were dealing. I mean, Kellen's in Texas, I'm here in St. Louis, and you know, we had our fair share of a few things being different, but man, not being able to go out and eat at restaurants and those things.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I mean, I remember there was a point that even officers were pulling us over for driving. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I definitely just needed a change of pace for my mental health and I just needed a break. Yeah.
Well, so good for you. So, you know, we were
you.
chatting and I was saying, you know, there are probably, I don't know, a dozen people in our group, in our Next Level Loan Officers group that are kind of in this same situation, and not all, but most tend to be from California. And I made the comment to Alba, I said, man, if you can have cost of living of Omaha, Nebraska, but close California type deals, that's like the best of both worlds, and you don't have to live there. But Alba, tell us a little bit about, so I think what people who are listening to this are probably like, oh, how does that work? Like, how does she maintain all that? How does she keep those relationships? How does she close that business? So give us kind of a day in the life of yourself and how you operate in two locations really and still connect with those original referral partners from California.
Yeah, good question. So I think one of the biggest things that I've loved about Next Level, we always talk about, we have to love who we work with. So I kept my circle really close and small of realtors and just poured everything into it. So I just pretty much had to come up with a way of being available when I'm not there. Yes, COVID changed everything because nobody was allowed in my office and California couldn't do any open houses. So that was kind of the starting point. But then it's great. I mean, California income in Omaha, Nebraska is amazing, but it's not, there's a big price to pay. I, first off, once a month go out there and see all my realtors, see my family, see my friends, remind them that I'm in, loan originating and to call me for any needs. So that part of it is very, very crucial. And special touch points. I also work California time. So it does not matter if it's 7:00 here, it's still 5:00 there. So I reassure that to my realtors that I'm still available, nothing changes, and I'm always willing to hop on a flight and meet a client. So I've done that a few times as well. So just making myself available, I send them coffee on me. I dig into what they're into, whether it's something motivational, send them a book. So I still continue to do those touch points. It's just coming from a different address at this point.
Well, and I would assume, and hang on one second, Sean, because I know you had a question there. I would assume too that, frankly, obviously with COVID happening, you probably weren't doing a lot of face-to-face meetings with these folks anyways.
Correct.
And
Correct.
I assume now that's changed a little bit, but my goodness, I mean, that whole landscape for most of us has changed where there's just not as much interaction. I mean, I didn't go to a lot of closings before, frankly, hardly any, but like I don't know hardly anybody that goes to closings now because, the title companies didn't want us there for a long time. So, I think it gave you a lot of excuses, valid ones at that, to not have to be in front of those referral partners all the time. And you can do so much of it virtually and on the phone, by text, and do it from anywhere in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And some realtors were a little sensitive about it, me not being available. So I just figured if it works, great. And that doesn't change my hard work and my ethics and my passion for this business. And if they decide that this is going to be a change for them, let me know sooner than later so we can move on and I can create space for another realtor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love how you position that. Like, hey, if it's not going to work for you, let me know so I can create space for somebody else versus chasing them on a futile effort. But I also really appreciate, because there's this great side of, ooh, I can live in some place that's half the price and, still close these California loans. But, like you said, I mean, there's this trade-off that you have to have. Like, your 5 o'clock is still there 3 o'clock. Your 5 o'clock is still when a lot of people are getting off work and just become available for the day. So, it might sound great that you're going to move from California to Florida or somewhere like that. But if you do, you're going to be 2 or 3 hours difference on what your schedule is in order to be available and run your business how you need to. So Alba, how many months have you now been an ex-California resident?
I would say 14 months.
14 months.
Yeah.
And so now you started to grow the Nebraska side of your business.
Yes. I turned a corner. I got a 402 area code phone number. Because it's a different culture out here. There's a lot more expectation from the realtors with originators. So it's a lot. It's a total different market.
They don't take kindly to those California folk out there.
No, they say you're welcome, but don't bring your typical California thoughts over here.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's funny. I had some friends a decade, probably longer than that. Actually, they moved to Montana, and nobody, I think it's 403, 406, something like that's the area code there, and nobody would answer their phones.
Yes.
Because everybody in and I'm sure Nebraska's probably this. There's one area code for the state of Montana. Maybe there's two now, but nobody answered. They finally got the area code that everybody else had, and then all of a sudden their phones got answered.
Yeah, no, luckily there's apps now that you can call from a different number. And it's still tied to your main line. So that's what I utilize. But it was a big shift for me because of the market in California. I had to, again, pivot. And and luckily I'm Spanish speaking. There's a huge shortage for originators. So I highly encourage, if anybody's in the Midwest, definitely tap into the small towns, because if you're fluent in a language, there could be a huge window of opportunity there.
So what was different in the expectations from realtors that you didn't have from California to Nebraska? What do they expect differently of you?
They expected me to pay thousands of dollars for their marketing. That's one. That's the biggest one. And I'm not talking like 1,000 or 2,000. I'm talking like double digits on a monthly basis. And it's very clicky. So getting your foot in the door, which was fine. I respect relationships. I'm just here to give other realtors a window of opportunity to make more money. One, because I'm fluent. So I brought all my California ideas into the Omaha market, because nobody does the things that people do in California. So that's another step up that I have. Mm-hmm.
Huh. So give me a good example of that. I'd love to know, like, what are some of those tips and tricks you're bringing to the Midwest?
Yeah. Lunch and learns. No one does lunch and learns here. No one does events. There's a couple of association groups that do networking, but there's no, for example, like B&I groups, things like that, where you have different people from different fields referring businesses to each other. There's also, originators here, they punch out at 5 o'clock and they're with their family, which is respected, but sure. Me having no children and my significant other also being in the business, we understand that phone rings at 5 o'clock on a Saturday. We take the call, because that can just be that one deal. So it's different. They're like, what, you'll take my call on a Saturday? And I'm like, absolutely, I will. If I'm unavailable, I'll let you know, but I will call you when I am. And the other thing is I follow up with listing agents when offers go out, which is something that a lot of originators don't do. I'm very proactive when it comes to that.
So when you think about the next 12 months, what does that look like for you? Do you see it really shifting away from California and more towards Nebraska? Do you think it'll always kind of be a split, or what's on the horizon for you? What's next?
I think that there will be somewhat of a shift with what's going on in California as far as the prices and rates and so forth. People are becoming they're starting to shop a lot more because of the rates, and that's fine. I want what's best for them and their families, but I do see myself helping more people in Nebraska because of the cost of living being so much lower. So I definitely see my goals for units being excelled. And that's okay, right? Because when I hop on that plane, I am taking time away from my family here, and I'm meeting after meeting after meeting. So it's constant go, go, go. And then I just come here and just relax. So I definitely see it could be a shift. I'm definitely, I'm also licensed in other states that I originate from. So yeah, sky's the limit.
Sean, it's interesting. One of the things we talk about at our live events, and by the way, if you're listening to this and you're not a part of the Next Level community, head on over to nlstrategycall.com, and you can sign up for a quick strategy call and learn about tactics that Next Level has that might help your business. But, Sean, in our live events, we often ask people the question, right, which is we talk about how efficient you are with your time. And those events are usually on a Friday. And I always ask everybody, well, I bet you were really efficient on Thursday, right? Like, I bet the day before the event, knowing you weren't going to be in your office on Friday, you were really efficient. And it almost seems like, I think there's some lessons that can be taken out of this from Alba. She goes into her market, and I don't know, when you go to California, you're there for a couple of days, but you just said it. You're like, man, I'm on, right? Like, for 2 days straight or 3 days, I'm sure nothing but lunches, coffee appointments, pop buys, like you're just knocking it all out, right? And so you think about, like, so if you're a loan officer and you're listening to this, right, think about that, right? We always talk about continuing to maintain relationships with your referral partners. You have to continue to date them. If you're not in front of them, somebody else is. Most of you don't do that, right? Or you don't do it at a high level, or you just assume that business is going to be there. And here's Alba, and she's still dating and courting her referral partners 5 states away or 6 states away, right? And so she's coming back into town, and so my point in that is think about that. If you're a loan officer and you're in the market with your people, you could take a day or two and go knock through everybody once a month, right? And just knock it out, be done with it, be super efficient with your time, be very dialed in and doing those actions that matter, and probably see a significant lift out of that.
Well, so many people right now choose to just stuff their head in the sand. I mean, anytime over a few short months, you have rates go up 3%. Right. I mean, it's not California or Nebraska or Texas or Missouri here. It's, people are going to shop. When your rate's 2.5 or 2.7, well, that sounds great. Sign me up. When they expect it to be 2 and it's got a 5 handle on it, there's some shell shock, but sure, it's also, about staying relevant, staying in front of your people. And there's a book I was recently reading and talked about know, like, and trust, but they were talking know, like, trust, and flow. And, you've got to be in somebody's flow. And by flow, they mean are they getting mail from you? Are they receiving calls from you? Are you taking them out to coffee? Are you at a point that when they think mortgages, they think real estate, that they think about you? Because if you're not in that flow and, their buddy who talks to him on the sideline of their kid's soccer game, is a realtor, is a mortgage guy or gal, and, start talking about work and they start, oh man, you do that too. And all of a sudden for 5 weeks in a row, they're talking to somebody on those sidelines. It's not because you didn't do a great job. All the stats say they'd use us again. The problem is that they don't, because we don't stay in that flow afterwards. Right. And right now, this year, 2022, is the most important year to stay in somebody's flow of our careers. Not that there haven't been other ones, but this is the one we're living right now, and business isn't falling off the trees like it has the last couple of years.
That's right. Mm-hmm. It's going to take intentional effort and work. And Alba, you're doing that at a high level. So first of all, thank you for being on our podcast today. Thank you for helping other loan officers kind of see how to operate the business and how to be efficient. Kudos to you for doing an amazing job in managing 2 markets. A lot of us have trouble managing one. You're managing to be successful in 2. So, man, that and not easy ones at that. So,
like Kellen said earlier, if you're looking to grow your business, if you need somebody to kick you in the behind to get your head out of the sand, go to nlstrategycall.com. Let us help you. It's free. It doesn't cost anything to get a little bit of a consultation and understand what we can do to move the needle in your business. And, if you do decide to join us, it's $197 a month. We always guarantee nobody who sticks with us finds that we do not deliver more in value than we receive in payment. And, there's some people who kind of decide to leave for a moment in time, and then they realize what they're missing out on, and they come back too. So
absolutely. I definitely do want to also add, for those listeners that are thinking about joining, one of the biggest things that I loved about Next Level Loan Officers was that there's so many different personalities. There is just so many different coaches. Everyone brings a different idea to the table. None of us members are greedy. We always consistently share our highs, our lows, our in-betweens, our struggles. And we really lift each other up in different ways. And during that break that Shanzi is referring to, I was with a different company due to my previous branch manager at the time. And there's nothing like this. We, our group mainly focuses on building those relationships and pouring into those relationships with people that we want to work with. Our business is already tough enough. Don't make a shoe that doesn't fit. Don't make it work if it doesn't have to. So I love you guys, and I'm so grateful for you guys, because you guys have definitely changed my career, and it's just an honor to, it's so great to see you guys here. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Alba. I can't think of a better way to send us out, Kellen.
No kidding, man.
As always, it's a great day when you get to see me.
Yeah.
And Alba, it's a fantastic day when we get to see you.
That's right.
To our friends, family, listeners, hey, we appreciate you. And thanks for joining us on yet another edition of our Next Level Loan Officers podcast. We'll see y'all soon.
See you next